Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. The series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So if you could able to observe this pattern carefully, we are having a one which is coming from left to right continuously in this way, and the above and below to this one we are having these numbers 2, 3, 4 and 5 like this, and a similar way we are having 2, 3, 4, 5 in the below as well. So let us see how we can actually print this whole pattern. So in order to print this whole pattern, what we will be doing is that we will first print this particular above pattern, and later we will print this below pattern, and by combining both of them we can able to get the whole pattern. So let us go ahead and see how we can able to print this particular above pattern. So in order to print this above pattern, we have 5 rows, right? Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4 and row 5. So for that reason, I will take a variable rows and I will assign these rows with 5 because we have 5 rows in here, right? So later in this pattern, if you could observe carefully, we are having these numbers. Apart from these numbers, we are also having these spaces before these numbers. Before actually we need to print these spaces in order to get the exact pattern. So to keep track of these spaces, I will take a variable spaces and I will assign with 0 because in the first row we don't have any spaces before these numbers, right? So for that reason I am taking spaces as 0. So now in order to print this particular all values in all these rows, I will take a for loop for I in range. So now we will generate a range of values to get this all values. So for the time being, we will generate this particular diagonal values which are having 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Later, by using these diagonal values, we will print all these values. So now in order to print and these particular diagonal values, we will take the range of values as rows because we have 5 in this diagonal, right? So we have 5 in this rows. So for that reason, I am taking the value as rows. So later we need to go till the value 1, right? So for that reason, I will take the value as 0. So by using this 0, this range function only go till the value of what we have mentioned to the previous value only. So to know more about this range function, watch out my video about range so that you will get to understand why I have mentioned. So after that, I will mention -1 so that we will keep reducing these values in direction. So in this for loop, in order to know what values we are having in I will print the value I here. So now if I execute this, we can able to see the values 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and these are the exact values that what we have expected from this diagonal, right? So later by using these values we can print all values. So in order to print, if you could able to observe this pattern carefully, in every single row we are starting with value 1 and going till the value of which is what we are having here. So in the first row we are having value as 5 and we are starting with 1 going till the value which is 5. The second row we are starting with 1 and going till the value 4 which is what the value we are having. So in the third row we are starting with 1 going till the value 3 which is what we are having in So like this in every single row starting with 1 and going till the value So this is repeating in every single row, right? What we generally do when we have repeated statements, we generally use loops, right? So that is what I will be doing now also. Instead of this for loop, I will use one more loop for stay in range. So now in order to generate these values, we have discussed that you are starting with 1 and going till the value of So for that reason, I will mention 1 and I will mention I plus 1 because till the will go. So instead of this, instead of printing this particular I will print the value j here. So for that I am mentioning j here. Here I will mention for that arrange the indentation. So now I will print the value j here. So if I execute this, we can able to see the result as 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, 1 2 and 1. So these are the exact values that we are having in this particular above pattern. So now we have got the values. The only thing we need to do now is that we need to arrange these values so that we can able to get the pattern. So to do that, I will mention end is equal to a single space. So by default, this print function having this end parameter as a new line, by mentioning this end as this space, we will get all values in single row like this. So later what we will be doing is that after this j value reaches to the value I, we need to print a new line. So that is what happening in here. So for that, as and when completion of this inner for loop, I will use a print, and this print having end parameter as new line, it will give a new line. So now if I execute this, we can able to get this particular pattern. So now the only thing we need to do is that we need to print spaces before this particular pattern. So that is what we are having here, right? So we are having these spaces. So we need to arrange those spaces. For that, as and when we enter into this outer for loop, I will mention a print, and I will multiply this space with spaces variable, because the spaces variable we are using in order to keep track of the spaces. So I will mention end as nothing, because if we don't mention this, by default print is having end as new line, we will get new line. So that is not what we wanted. So after this, we could observe this pattern. We are having the spaces are increased after every single row. So in order to increase the spaces after completion of this inner for loop, I will mention spaces plus equal to 1. So the spaces will be increased on each iteration. So now if I execute this, we can able to see the exact pattern of this above pattern. So I hope you can able to understand this logic so far, and I hope you have found this video interesting. So if you found this video interesting, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, and we will go ahead and see how we can print this particular below pattern. So we will follow the similar process for the below pattern to print the pattern as like we have printed the above pattern. So for that, in order to generate these many number of rows that we are having in this below pattern, I will use a for loop for k in range. So we need range of values. So as like we have taken this particular diagonal values as a base to print all values, this particular below pattern, we will take this particular diagonal values to generate all values. So for that reason, I will start with 2, and that is what the value we are having here, right? I will go till the value 5. So we are having rows plus 1. So by mentioning this rows plus 1, we can go till the value 5, right? So this what I will be doing is that I will just print the value k to know what value we are having. So we are having the values as 2 3 4 5, and that is what we have expected, right? So if you could carefully observe this pattern and compare with the k values, in every single row these are starting with this particular k values and going till the value 1 here. So in the second, in this row, first row we are having starting with 2 and going till the value 1. The second row we are starting with k, which is 3, and going till the value 1. So like that, in every single row, this process is happening. So when we have this number of repeated statement, we generally use loops, right? That is what I will be doing now also for L in range. So now we will generate the range of values as we have discussed, starting with k and going till the value 1. So for that I am mentioning 0, and these are reducing with 1, right? So for that reason I am mentioning -1. So in this, instead of printing this particular k, I will print the value L here. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the result as 2 1, 3 2 1, 4 3 2 1, and 5 4 3 2 1. So these are the exact values that we are having this pattern. So now the only thing we need to do is that we need to arrange these values so that we will get the below pattern, and we will get the whole pattern as well. So for that, I am using end a single space, and after this L reaches to the value 1, we need to print a new line. For that reason, I am mentioning a simple print here. So we can able to see this particular pattern, which is particular below pattern. So now we need to arrange this pattern accordingly so that we need to get this exact pattern. So we are having these spaces before these numbers, right? So in order to print these spaces, as and when I enter into this outer for loop, I will use a print and I will multiply with spaces variable, and I will mention this end as nothing. So after this, as and when, if you could carefully observe this pattern, these spaces are also reducing, right? So for that reason, I will reduce these spaces after each iteration. So now if I execute this, we can able to get this pattern, but this pattern is having some problem, right? So this is not the exact pattern because we are using this spaces variable for both above and below pattern. So that is not a problem, but the value after completion of this above pattern which affects the below pattern. So for that we will know what value we are having in spaces. So we are having the value as 5, but could carefully observe this first row we are having 1, only 3 spaces. So we need to decrease this spaces variable by 2 so that we can able to get only 3 spaces. So for that reason I am mentioning spaces minus equal to 2. So by mentioning this, we can able to get the spaces value as 3 so that we can able to get only 3 spaces. So now if I execute this, we can able to see the exact pattern, that is what we have expected, starting with 1 and going to the right side like this, and in the above and below this particular one we are having the exact pattern, right? So I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate this pattern. So if you found any difficulty while printing this particular pattern, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video once again so that you can able to understand the logic clearly. So now in these rows, I will use dynamically, I will take input dynamically from the user. Based on the user input, we will print the pattern accordingly. So I am asking user to enter rows. So now if I execute this and it was asking to enter rows, if I give let's say value as 3, and we can able to get the pattern, one is coming in this direction and in the above and below we are having the symmetric patterns. So now if I execute this and give one more number, let's say I am giving 9 here, so we can able to see the pattern starting with 1 and like that we are having every single number getting this particular pattern. So now I hope you can able to get this logic to get whatever the number, to print the pattern by whatever the number given by the user. So I hope you have understood this logic and I hope you have found this video interesting. If that is true, hit the like button. In the next video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. This pattern and the pattern that what we have seen looks similar. Could able to compare this particular diagonal here. We are having this one reverse direction. So in the next video, we will see how we can print this particular pattern. So to stay updated, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.